Welcome back to the Tomahawk. I'm Mike. This is Matt, and we're going to break down the Tampa series. We had 3-game series this time. It was a delightful surprise. I thought it was just going to be 2 games. So it was 3 games. We're going to break down these 3 games. Brent Seabrook retired. That news came out a couple days ago, which was huge, and I'm kind of glad for him and his family because he's been dealing with some serious health issues with both hips and a shoulder surgery, and now he's having back issues. And for someone who gave so much to the organization, you don't really want to see a guy getting carried off on a cart. So the first three games we got. First game, Hawks lost with 0.1 seconds left in overtime, 3-2. They won the second game 4-3, and then lost the third game 6-3. Matt, I thought all 3 games were great, except for the last part of the third game. They were really, really tight. I thought it was a pleasant surprise to see these guys not fold against the champs. A lot of guys you see them playing well, a lot of teams you see them playing well, then they go up against a really good team, and then they look like a junior team. These guys, they came out and they played them hard, man. What do you think of let's start with the first game.
Yeah, like Sharpie said in his broadcasting debut, the compete level was there every game, and that's all you can ask for against Stanley Cup champions. And we were a team that was overlooked by a lot of us, including this schmuck that's talking right now. And I thought, getting a point, we got 3 points against them in this 3-game stand, and that's all you can ask for. We got a point a game if you think about it. And the first game, it was a heartbreaking loss. Who knows if it got to a shootout? What could have happened? You never know. But 0.1 or 0.2 Hedman, I thought Kaner could have got a stick to prevent that shot, but when the guy's getting 2 points a game and being a Hart Trophy, my Hart Trophy pick, it's hard to blame a guy like that first game because he was great. And Lankinen also, kept us in the game as well.
It's really interesting, man, because Kaner is I believe, a Hart Trophy candidate, considering the surrounding cast that he has. Now, I'm not putting down the team, okay, because DeBrincat is a very, very good player, and I think he's a very underrated player defensively. But Kane is 100% leading from the front. I don't think that there's really any other teams out there that is doing what Kane is doing right now. If you look at Toronto, Matthews has Mitch Marner and John Tavares, who is a past MVP winner. If you look at Edmonton, you've got Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and they're both absolute monsters. And you have Kane, and it's like he doesn't really have he doesn't really have the supporting cast that these other players do. Now, I'm not putting them down. I'm just saying that I think that his contributions mean more to his team than maybe everybody else's does. And do you even think that Lankinen could even be put into that conversation?
Yeah, because I think
at least for the Vezina.
Yes, Vezina for sure. The Hart, I don't know, but the Hart to me is a player. If you took him off the team, how would the team be? Like you said, if Kane was not playing, the Hawks are the Rockford Ice Hawks with a couple good NHL players. That's why a couple years back when Taylor Hall won, I was so happy because that's what the Hart Trophy is about. It's not about the best guy and the most points. It's about the MVP of a team, like how important he was. He carried them into the playoffs. He got a lot of points, and I think they weren't first, but they kind of made their way into the playoffs that year. But if the Devils didn't have Taylor Hall that year, they were nothing. They weren't a team like that. And this is how Kane is this year. This guy, I don't know his points, but I know he's just on fire. He'll get averaging probably 2 points a game. He's money on the power play. He's even back checking a lot better in previous years. He's playing good D, and he's got to be an MVP this year. If usually I know like the media, they're obsessed with Connor McDavid because I mean he's fast, gets a million points, but you can't give a Hart Trophy to a guy who's not going to make the playoffs when he's got the second best player in the league on his team as well.
Yeah.
That's just me. But Kane, like you said, he's got DeBrincat, who's a good player, but he's not Draisaitl. He's Toronto, Mitch Marner and Matthews. He's not at that level yet. And Kane, he's by himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and even if you look at the talent of Toronto, I mean they've got Marner, they've got Nylander, who's starting to put it back together again. I mean Tavares, these guys are great players. I honestly believe that DeBrincat's better than Nylander, but I don't think that he's on a Mitch Marner level. Mitch Marner's could be a game changer, And to be honest with you, Mitch Marner I think is a little bit underrated, probably because John Tavares and Austin Matthews, play on the team. But I think that he's a great playmaker, man, and he's got a great shot. But I think that DeBrincat is more on that level. Maybe DeBrincat's more of like a Patrick Laine. He's a for goal scorer for a shot. But Patrick Laine doesn't back check like DeBrincat does. I think that there's a lot of positives from game one, and the biggest one was Lankinen absolutely battling Vasilevsky on the other end of the ice. Those guys put on an absolute show. And to Tampa and to the Blackhawks, I think every single guy left it out there on the ice that night. I think that everybody played their heart out, and it was just a great game to watch. Best part is that game poured into game two, and it was more of the same. I think all of the guys left it out there on the ice. Great play by both teams. Subban, I think that he had a rough start, but I think that he battled back and he played phenomenal after. I think after he got that second goal that he had, I didn't think that it was a really good one to let by, but he really turned it up after that. He really gamed it out on that one. I thought that he played really well, and the Hawks ended up turning that one into a win. Do you have anything that you think really stood out from game two?
Subban. It was good to see him battle back, and that last shootout shot, I think Stamkos, when he stopped that puck, he was so fired up.
Yeah.
And he was competing. He left it all out there, and he just, it was good to see him. The team mobbed him. And that's a backup, right? We were kind of hard on him after that Detroit game.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't that good.
He sucked.
And he was really good that other game he played against Columbus, the shutout game I think he got.
Yeah.
And it's just if he can stay consistent like Ray Emery did, he's going to be a great backup for our team, and maybe he'll steal some. Maybe he'll get some more starts.
That was my very next point was, and I think it's something that has dogged him his entire career so far, is his consistency. Is that he could be lights out one night, and then the other night he just can't bring it. Do you think that maybe Colin Delia should get a shot to just to see where he's at?
If it didn't happen yet, I don't think it's going to happen. Maybe they're going to hold on to him in case there's an injury, but you got to stick with Lankinen because he's carrying us, and Subban is, if he can get it together, the consistency, like you said, I still think he loses his net really easy.
Yeah,
and he kind of I don't know what it is with him. It seems like he challenges the shooter, but he doesn't recover fast enough to get back in position.
Right.
I guess it's kind of the same thing as losing your net, but if he can get that together, and I think he's going to be a great part of this team that's forming. You know what I mean? I think you need a good backup. Every team has a good backup, and I mean, I hope it can be him, but he's got to get consistent. But I think in these next stretches, we got to play Lincoln, and even if there's a back-to-back, we need points. And I know we're in the 4th spot, but don't forget Dallas is, I think they've only played 15, 16 games. So if we can get points on these guys, we're just making it harder on them. And they can't get it together. I think they're a 500 team. And that's our next series. So it's important we kind of hit them when they're down.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not sure how Jamie Benn's doing this year, but I think that he's definitely might be out on a mission to do some damage. What do you think that the Hawks and where they are right now, going forward from say game 2, going into the 3rd game, you know, I don't think that be the hardest workers in the room, it was definitely the how do you say, the wrong strategy to have against a team like Tampa Bay, because Tampa Bay's not only are they a great team, great players, and they've got talent from the top all the way down, but they're well coached as well. Going forward, I think that there's a very big learning moment that the Hawks need to realize and see what happened, that coaching goes into these wins as much as hard work does. Now, I'm not knocking Colleton, because I think that he is definitely a very big reason why the Hawks are where they are today. I think the team has definitely bought into his system. I noticed on the penalty kill in game 2, there was less bad communication on the penalty kill. Guys were rotating in and out. Guys were picking up people. Guys were calling guys out to where to go, and people were doing it, and they weren't getting caught out of position, which was not happening at the beginning of the season. And it looks like they're locking down some of the deficiencies that they had at the beginning of the season now. In the last game, in game 3, it looked like, to be honest with you, they didn't know what to do, and that's why they ended up losing the game. They were up 3-0. They lost 6-3. I think that's a coaching loss there, and maybe even a leadership issue with why they lost.
Yeah, you're talking about game 3, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think being he even said in his post game that we took too many penalties against a very skilled power play, and young penalties. He said, meaning guys that are young, like these younger guys, they're taking penalties that they shouldn't.
Right.
It's not like a smart penalty. Connor Murphy, I mean, I looked at the hit, and man, I didn't really see why he got a 5-minute major, but I think after that hit, that I feel like the Hawks lost all like their like swag. You know, I think they're playing shorthanded, and I don't think they could get like our top players the minutes they needed to be, because we were killing penalties. And Tampa scored 3 power play goals against us that last game. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they did, but they didn't score any on that 5-minute major that you mentioned, which I think would have been a big moral victory for the team to move forward. And actually, Hedman, they killed off 3 minutes, about 2.5 minutes, and then Hedman got a 2-minute penalty, so that kind of knocked off 2 minutes on there, and it turned it into 4-on-4. But I thought that they could have used that to build some momentum.
Exactly. Usually when your team is like, wow, man, we just killed a 5-minute major. Let's go. It's like, it reminds you of that penalty Hossa took in 2010 against Nashville. He's in the box for 5 minutes, and that we killed it off. We actually scored a freaking shorthanded goal, and I mean, wow. And we went to the momentum. He got out of the penalty box and scores the goal. It's just something like, it's insane. But I think that, I don't know if it's a coaching loss, really. I think the Hawks just kind of ran out of gas. And I mean, penalty killing all that time, it's going to weigh on you. I don't know the penalty minutes, but I mean, giving up 3 power play goals kind of a killer too to your confidence. Like, geez, everything's going in. We got to stop taking penalties. But
And they didn't.
Yeah. So
Looking at the Connor Murphy hit, I didn't think that it was I would say this. I don't think that he was deliberately trying to injure the other player. He didn't leave his skates. When he made contact with the chest area first, and then there was contact made to the head. I think he hit his chest, and then his head kind of went back from the force of the hit, and then he left his skates. But that was just from the hit. It wasn't that he was lining him up. Was a Tom Wilson style, launching himself into the air, aiming at his head. Like a missile.
That hit made no sense. Why Tom Wilson would hit a guy like that in the offensive zone makes no sense at all. I didn't get that one, and he deserves to sit. But Murphy, I mean, like Roenick used to argue with Mike Milbury after a game. You're getting soft. That's what he told Mike Milbury. Like, come on, Murphy hit the guy in the chest, and of course your head is attached to you. I don't think he made any head contact on the first impact of the hit. Of course, his head jerked back. I was like, wow, that was a freaking massive hit. And I think it just looked violent, and the refs are just trained to put their arms up and say, oh, it's a penalty. And he didn't get suspended for it.
Right.
That's another thing. Okay, usually 5-minute majors lead to suspensions, and the league's probably like, you know what? We might have made a mistake on that one, or the officials might have made a mistake. It could have been a 2-minute, roughing, but I mean, he had the puck and he made a good hit. I thought it was a good hit.
Yeah, I thought that it was all right. The 5-minute major, I wasn't too sure about, but I didn't think that he deserved to be suspended over it. And even his reputation, we're not talking about a guy who's out there laying down dirty hits consistently. As a matter of fact, I don't remember. I don't think I've ever seen Connor Murphy line up a dude and then try and destroy him, to be honest with you. But he's not suspended. Yeah, he'll be available for the Dallas game on Tuesday night. Is there anything that you want to say about Seabs?
Yeah, I'm kind of a little surprised he didn't retire at the beginning of the season. But I give him credit for, he wanted to try, and hockey players are confident dudes. They wanted to, I'm going to show everybody I'm good. And he said he was skating for a couple weeks, and he said he couldn't even pivot some areas, and that's not a good sign. But I mean, guy's a warrior, man. I think when his contract's up, I'm not sure if they could retire his number right away, but I think 7 should be up in the rafters. I don't think anyone should ever wear it again. He scored some freaking gigantic playoff goals, OT, big minutes, a lot of block shots. My uncle, Mark, is a season ticket holder. He said it's his favorite player. He said Seabs was a physical defenseman. And I'm like, you know what? I think he was very underrated offensively, but he was very responsible in his own zone. I'm going to miss him, but I think that it's time for him to take care of his body and enjoy his family. And you know what? I'd love to see him in the organization still as like a scout or an advisor, whatever job they can get for the guy, because he's probably, him and Keith are going to be like, the defenseman that everyone's going to talk about when we're talking to our grandkids, like, oh, Brent Seabrook and Duncan Keith, those guys were huge for us when we won those 3 cups and a couple gold medals. And I think he was a very underrated defenseman, and he's going to be missed.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. I'm happy for him, man, because I don't want you hate to see about these guys who gave everything and they have like a shit life after the game, and like Bob Probert, man. When I think about him, man, it's just unbelievable to think about, just somebody who gave his all for the game. But yeah, it's hard to see him go. It's hard to believe that. I remember watching these guys come up, and they're retiring now, and I think Keith might be 2 or 3 seasons away from retiring, man. He's still playing great right now, but one team or opponent that's undefeated, that's Father Time, and sooner or later he's going to come for Keith. But I think that definitely number 7 should be retired, and that's it's hard, man, because Chelios wore number 7, but to put it out there, he didn't contribute the way that Siebes did to the organization, and I definitely think that his sweater should be up there, number 7. But hey, it's time to move forward. As one door closes, another one opens. And I will say this, man, Boquist has been playing much better the past, I would say, 3 to 4 games than he has, I would probably say, his entire career. And I'm starting to see maybe what the scouts and what the team sees in him, because he's starting to turn it around and play much better. And Mitchell's playing very well too. Hopefully we can get Bowden back up here, man, because I think that he might be a key piece of the team that needs to be filled. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm more of a Mitchell fan than Bodequist. I'm actually turning into a big Dahan fan. I know he was out last game. But that guy, man, he's just steady. He's not flashy, get the job done. And
Yeah,
I think he's a veteran that I'm not sure how old he is, but I think these new guys are going to learn a lot from him playing the defensive style. I think a lot of these guys are going to learn from Keith being, puck movers, and being fast and recovering. But I think they can learn a lot from even Connor Murphy, protecting your own zone first. And I kind of wish Keith would do that more. Sometimes I feel like he gets lost a little bit. Like he wants to get a point and try to get the offense going. But yeah, I mean, I Bowden, like we talked about the last podcast, I think there's just so much competition up here right now. And I think it is the smart move to keep him down so he can get the minutes and the reps and all that penalty kill and power play. He's going to learn all this. And hope if we make the playoffs, maybe we'll see him up, which would be a great thing.
It's funny that you mentioned that about Dunks, because he does get lost sometimes. But Siebes was always there to kind of mask that deficiency because of his superb defensive awareness, and that's why it wasn't really much of a problem for Keith to kind of do his thing. Hopefully Mitchell and Boquist can have somebody that can be solid back there for them, so that they can use their instincts offensively to really bring their game out.
Yeah, I think they're hoping Zadorov could be that guy, like a just a steady worry about my own zone, and you do your thing. I got your back. Like you said, Keith and Siebes. I had a coach who he put like a bigger, not as fast but very smart defenseman back, and he'd pair him off with an irresponsible speedster. And I think that's what, like Keith and Siebes, you got stupid but fast and smart and slow together, and it mixes great. because they're always going to be, taking care of each other.
Right.
And I think that it worked out for him. And I know Jarmelson, when he was here, him and Oduya
Oh
had great
man.
chemistry.
Yeah,
They
they
were
did.
just, you know what? We're going to take care of our own zone, and we're not letting anyone in. We're blocking shots, and we're moving it up to the wingers to break these pucks out. And I just think that's if we could find a pairing that will take chances like Keith and Siebes, and then we got a solid two guys shutting it down, and then our fifth and sixth defenseman to just take minutes in and be responsible and don't make mistakes like Roosevelt and whoever it was, Chemo teaming in, or whoever was stepping in. That's what we need. We need consistency. We need smarts, and we need some offensive production here and there, which we're getting from these kids. So it's good.
Yeah, man, that was a good breakdown. Do you have anything that you want to add? I want to give it to you. I want you to do your 2 minutes with Matt, or your 2 minutes in the box with Matt about anything you want to talk about going on in the league or anything.
I want to go back to your comment about Mitch Marner. I think he's the best player on the Leafs, in my opinion.
Wow.
I think Matthews, yeah, he's going to score. He's going to score a lot of goals. But if you don't have Mitch Marner, Matthews is just going to have a hard time getting space. And I watched a game Saturday. I think it was Vancouver versus Toronto. They were not letting Matthews get anything. And Mitch Marner if he was creating space for the guy, I just think he reminds me of a young Kaner, and I think he can get there. He gets tons of points and smart passes, and he could score too. Very underrated player.
Yeah, I think his passing ability is pretty underrated. Obviously, he's got good handles, but I think he has really good passing ability too. That gets overlooked. But hey, man, that's pretty much what it is. I think he's just solid. He doesn't get talked about a lot because of obviously the guys that he plays with. But what's his contract like?
You know what? I think it's close to Matthews' money.
Really?
I think that team, they're going to be in big trouble.
Yeah.
Very soon. I mean, I know they paid Tavares. I think he's like at 13.
Yeah.
I think Matthews is at close to 13, and I think Marner's up there too. And I mean, it's a lot of money invested in a team that's never won a playoff series.
Isn't Nylander up in like the 8-9 million area?
I think he's in the 6 area, which is fair for a guy like him. I think that's what Brandon Saad was making.
Sure.
And I think they got a solid goalie in Anderson. I thought he could have beat the Hawks that year in 15. He was a great goalie. But another thing I wanted to talk about was Buffalo. Mm-hmm. They're terrible.
Yep.
We have some cap space. What if we made some moves for like a playoff rental guy, a guy with 1 year in his contract, Taylor Hall? I don't know. Maybe it's something. They're terrible. I don't think he's going to resign. I think that was the smartest move by Taylor Hall to do that. Sign a 1 year deal. So let's see what Buffalo's got. Clearly, they don't have it. I think he can end up on a team like in the playoff hunt and bank next year again. And I think there's a couple players on that team that you could, trade with, like Detroit, like we were talking about Mark Stahl.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a guy like that here. I know we got a little cap space and we got some guys on
15 million
long-term IR. I mean, I think we should pull the trigger and
yeah, man. It did. It took him a long time. You know what sucks is that I'm not a huge on Taylor Hall because Taylor Hall will go out and he'll score 4 goals, and then the other team will score four goals, and those 4 goals that they scored are all when Taylor Hall's on the ice. It's because he can't play defense to save his life. Um, that and here's another thing. It's like, do we want like Taylor Hall and taking off, say, Brandon Hagel, because Hagel or is definitely developing, and he's definitely got something there. Pius Suter, same thing. He's got an absolute cannon of a wrist shot, man. And I would hate to take him off the ice and him lose experience because of Taylor Hall. Now, if we're looking for, I mean, yeah, sure, I guess we could use another scorer, but if there's a way we can run, maybe a Taylor, just hypothetically speaking, Taylor Hall on a lower line to try to open up scoring for these lower lines, then yeah, maybe, but I wouldn't want to sacrifice him. And even Ryan Carpenter, man, he's playing really, really well, man. And
take away from Ryan Carpenter, I think, like you said, we're gonna lose a guy like I don't even necessarily think it would affect Hagel. I think, dude, right now, Dylan Strome, 2nd-round pick, Taylor Hall, maybe. I mean,
sure.
I don't.
Sure.
Why keep a guy like Dylan Strome? There's no point right now. He's cheaper and he's producing more than I think Dylan Strome would be right now anyway. And before he got hurt, we even talked about, we forgot about Dylan Strome. And I mean, I don't even think Buffalo would want him. I mean, he's a guy that can get in return and maybe build off, but I think the Hawks needs right now maybe possibly another defenseman like a Mark Stahl. But I think it would be cool to get, like, if we're going for it, if it's a rental player, I don't think Taylor Hall would hurt. I think he would help, especially Patrick Kane. It's like, this is a very skilled top round pick guy. Kaner could be playing with this guy. And I think it would be awesome. Him and DeBrincat and Taylor Hall, that would be one scary line, especially if you know that Taves isn't coming back this year. I think that would be a great guy to have. And he doesn't have that much playoff experience, but I think he would be an absolute excitement. Like, oh my God, I get to go play with Patrick Kane right now.
Yeah, I think he would be pretty excited, but at the same time, there's a couple issues there. Number one, who's going to play center between Patrick Kane, Taylor Hall, and Alex DeBrincat, and even mentioning that problem that we have, because Taves, our top 3 centers are essentially out right now. Who do we have as centers going into the playoffs? Is there a center that we can pick up going into the playoffs? Do you think that maybe a center and Mark Stahl would probably be a better use of cap space?
Well, I think we're going to be getting a guy coming back soon, Kirby Dach. We didn't talk about. He's skating today. I think if he could come back before the playoffs, that would almost be like a huge trade. You know what I mean? And I mean, I would honestly, the one player I would like to see here is a Mark Stahl, but I would not be surprised if Steve Yzerman keeps him, because he is against that Hawk when we played him. He is the only player on the Red Wings I noticed. He, like you said, he was skating hard to back checking, breaking up passes, breaking up 2-on-1s, hitting guys. And I think if we were to get a good defenseman like him in the playoffs, and hey, maybe we can re-sign the guy for 2 years. And I think that would be huge for our younger defensemen.
Yeah, that's actually a big point, because I think that he would be remarkable for Ian Mitchell or Boquist or even Bowden, just to like, hey, watch this guy play, or Mark could be like, hey, look, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take care of this. Just skate this puck up, because you're obviously faster than I am, better at puck handling than I am. You guys skate up the puck. I'm going to handle it back here. Just make sure you skate back, But I really think that a really sore spot we have right now is the center. I don't think Soderberg is the answer that we need going into the playoffs.
No, I think Bowman was kind of in panic mode when we found out our franchise center and our future franchise center were both going to be out for a long period of time. And I think Soderberg was cheap. He's big. He's got some games played. He's got some experience. He hasn't been bad, but he's no more than, I think the highest level he's going to get on this team would be a third line center. And that's about it. But he has scored some big goals for us. That Columbus game, he scored late, got us back in it, and we end up stealing the game and winning.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, like he's not going to be the guy. So, and he's only got a year contract, so I don't think he's going to be back. I'm sure Suter is going to have a permanent role next year. The way he's playing, he's deserved it. He's earned it. But like going back to Stahl, your comment about him saying, "Hey, like you said, I'm not flashy. I'm not a puck handler. I'm not a big goal scorer, but I'll get the job done, and I'll make you look better." That's huge, and I hope Bowman's listening to us, but I doubt it. But I think it would be a great addition to the team, and we can only hope for the best. Do you know when the deadline is?
You know what? I haven't even looked into it, but it's got to be within the next month and a half, maybe.
I know a lot of teams are freaking out about trades too because there's all the quarantining crap, and it's slowly kind of stopping though. So, and we're in the same division. We're in the next two states over. It's same 45-minute flight away. I mean, I think get on the phone with Yzerman, give him a pick because he's rebuilding. He loves picks. He loves prospects. Throw him one. Let's get a good defenseman, and let's go for a playoff spot. Let's go for it.
Maybe we should do a podcast on potential trade candidates for the Hawks and send this to Stan and say, "Hey, we did your homework for you, man. Make this happen."
Exactly. Taylor Hall, let's give it a C. Let's whatever. Like it's up to you. But I think teams are going to go for Taylor Hall because he's got 1 year left, and I think Buffalo. I mean, it's going to benefit Buffalo too. They're going to get They're going to get the highest bidder. They're going to get prospect. They're probably going to get a high pick, and and they're probably not going to make the playoffs. So,
yeah, you know what, man? Just thinking about it. I think that we really should do a separate podcast about trades, potential trade candidates, and get on the trade train. If there's anybody out there that wants to see other players or they have ideas for other players that they think would fit on the Hawks, let us know. We'll put something together with what we get and shoot us an email about what you guys think. Leave us a comment in the comments, anybody that you want to see, or shoot us an email, mprieto57@gmail.com, and we'll put it together. Or if there's any ideas out there that we can put something together and send it off to Stan and see what he says to try to get our team ahead and make a run for our fantasy Hawk team and put it ahead and get our guys to the cup, get a cup run, get a surprise cup win. Wouldn't that be crazy with these young players? But that's all that I've got for you. You got anything, Matt?
No, that's all I got. Next series, let's go. Let's get Dallas while they're hurting and hold that playoff spot. Yeah,
Dallas Tuesday and Thursday night. If we can get 4 points out of these guys, that would be fantastic. Beat them while they're down, and then we'll move on from there. But that's all we got for you guys tonight. This is Mike and Matt. We're out.